Hello, welcome to another edition of Prove All Things. I want to thank everybody joining us today, whether you're watching on Facebook, uh, YouTube, or X, or the CGI Digital Network app, whether that's on your phone, tablet, or on your television. We thank you for joining us live. And to everyone else who's either watching this or listening to this, because a lot of people do listen as a podcast, we thank you for joining us as well. I'm joined with co-host Mike James. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, Jeff, doing well. Good to see you today. How's everything in Georgia?
Everything's great. Just had a good week last week, getting back into things. After being away for several reasons for the previous 2 weeks. So just a good week of catching up and you know doing those type of things. Uh, here for work and stuff.
Gotcha. I'll be traveling out to farming, Aztec, New Mexico, actually. We got a small group out there I'll be speaking to this Sabbath. So that's my longest drive when I visit groups. That's
Mhm.
the farthest I go as far as driving, about 11 hours. So
Well,
not looking
that's
forward
quite
to
the
the
drive. Do you drive that in one day?
Yeah, I do. I do. Yeah, I get up early. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds good. So that's gonna be this Sabbath.
Yes. Yes.
And then is that a CGI group that we have there?
Yeah, it's a CGI group there. I'll be in Montgomery, Alabama. They're going to have one of those Unity conferences with CGI there. I think Lemmy McGarity, I think you know him. He puts together those conferences in the southeast part of the United States often. And I'll be speaking there at the end of August. So those are a couple places I've got on my schedule for the rest of the summer.
All right, wonderful. All right, we're going to go ahead and bring in our guest today. We had a little technical problems, but I think we've are getting them in here.
Okay.
Hey
Jason, how you
guys.
doing, Jason?
Hey, Jason, good to have you back, man.
Yeah, sorry, I'm on my cell phone now. Is it
Okay, hey, it looks good. Sounds
Yeah,
good. Okay.
all right? Super. Thanks. Sorry about that. It wouldn't let me download it, so not going to work. I'll do that later. But
yeah.
no, great to be back. Hi everyone. Thanks guys for having me on and letting me join you.
All right, it's good. Good to have you again. So, what have you been up to since the last time we seen you on the program?
So a lot of the same things. Working at the health food store down here in Winston Salem. Still raising a family, 4 little ones,
Hmm.
and every day trying to help people. Of course, I'm going to talk to everybody about God, but a lot of what I do now is just talk to people about nutrition and
Hmm.
natural options to help with all the issues.
Yeah, I guess we talked about that several times with you before. Some different things about health, and I think you have a pretty interesting topic for us today.
Yeah, I'm hoping because I mean, I get bombarded. Well, I should say
Hmm.
bombarded, but I'm constantly asked, and of course, you guys know. I mean, church prayer lists, and you know, people with cancer, people with blood pressure, people with
Hmm.
diabetes, and kidney failure, dialysis. I
Hmm.
mean, you work here for a few months, and you fortunately get
Hmm.
a whole new perception on things. But
Hmm.
I'm sure you guys heard. I'm sure you probably have a lot of family members and church members dealing with health issues.
Hmm.
It's just kind of commonplace now. Just
Yeah.
talking with my wife last night, and she's, oh, I heard someone had cancer. I'm like, she's like, oh, why do I have to read about that stuff? But I'm like, well, unfortunately, it's happening a lot. Uh,
Hmm.
and so yeah, I mean, I'm back on here again, and I want to talk about some of that stuff because I think it's important,
Okay.
and I love feedback, and
Hmm.
people out there got questions. I mean, you can type them in right now. I'll answer them much as I can.
Yeah.
But
All right.
but
Good.
no,
So after people watching, yeah, definitely put in your questions and comments. We'll look forward to it. I'm gonna pull up your slideshow.
okay,
Are you able to move the slideshow on your phone, or should I move it for you?
no, I can move it.
Okay, great.
Um, yeah, so I call this healthy lives for God. Just like we try to not sin and try to do good things and live good lives. I mean, I think we should be more healthy. And I think the Bible has a lot to say about that. I'm sure people have heard people talk about it. I put a scripture up here, kind of emphasizing why I believe that. Me personally, I believe that the Bible kind of gives us this idea, especially in the New Testament, that we are a temple for the Holy Spirit. And that's our body. Our body is like this kind of physical temple that when you believe and you're baptized and start to follow God, you get the Holy Spirit, and that dwells in you. And so it's like, why would it also not make sense to be healthier? So hopefully you can be more useful to others and God. And then just I had a few other scriptures here.
That's a great scripture. I think we sometimes forget about that scripture.
Yeah. Did it pop up, Jeff? I went to the next slide. Did it pop up?
I did not see it. You can just tell me next, and I can hit next for you.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and hit next, please. All right, and here's a few more that talk about, and not just are we a temple for the Holy Spirit, but in some ways you could make an argument that our bodies are not ours as believers. We are in service to God in all that we do. Ephesians 2 there, the whole structure being joined together grows into a holy temple in the Lord. In him you also are being built together into a dwelling place for God by the Spirit. You can take this spiritually, but I don't see why you can't take it physically as well. Obviously I'm speculating, in some of this, but
yeah, I think spiritual and physical, they just tie in together. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think you're going too far out on a limb there. Yeah.
And you can go to the next one. I got another scripture there too.
Okay. And I was just, thinking about the temple. And think about if you go look in the Old Testament of all the regulations that God had for the temple, he was really precise. Wanted the animals without blemish. There's a lot of God's really picky about that kind of stuff. So I can imagine how you could say you could apply that to our own lives if we're God's temple.
And then even further, we're miracles. Everything in our body, everything about us it's a miracle. We're so used to living in this body and so used to, a lot of us, me, thankfully, I have all my limbs and all my legs and the things that I can do, but, we are not making our bodies do everything that they do. We can control our arms and legs, but, I have a couple questions you can't hold your breath too long before you're going to be gasping for air. And you can't make your heart stop beating, which I've kind of talked about some of these things before. We are not making our bodies live, and so it kind of goes back to what I'm saying. In a way, we don't belong to ourselves. We belong to our Creator. An interesting verse here in Psalm 139. God knew us before we were born. Every day of our lives recorded in the book. Every moment was laid out before a single day has passed. About the scripture where it talks about God knows every hair on our head, and God feeding all the birds and the animals as well. We belong to God. And so why not give him, everything, in service to him. So,
I just want to offer, there is another translation for that verse, but I'm not going to get into that right now.
No worries. Yeah,
but I agree with what you're saying about the hairs on your head, and I get the idea that so I'm not arguing that. Yeah,
I got you. Yeah, I know you got. Yes. And I got one more. I thought it was interesting too. You can go to the next scripture, Jeff.
All right.
So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. 1 Corinthians. So it's just interesting that Paul throws in there eat and drink. Oh, okay. Well, man, we can do everything for God. And so yeah, kind of starting out, I think it's important as Christians and believers that follow God, just as much as we try to not sin, maybe not just as much, but like we try not to sin, we should be striving to know more about what it is to be healthy, so that we can use these bodies that God has given us for his glory. and that's what I want to really focus on today. And hopefully I can give you some knowledge about how to do that, and also give you some tips and tricks and reasons why you, even more reasons why you should.
Okay, great.
All right, you ready to get into it?
Yeah, sounds good, man.
All right, let's go to the next one. All right, this is Mike Adams. If you ever watched the movie where the guy ate nothing but fast food for a year, he came up with an interesting quote. He said, "Today, more than 95% of all chronic disease is caused by food choice. Toxic food ingredients, nutritional deficiencies, and lack of physical exercise."
So wait a second. You're saying this Mike Adams, he ate fast food for a year? Like that's all he ate?
I think it might not have been quite a year. I think it might have been 6 months, actually.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Wow. Because I did see there was a video many years ago. This guy named Spurlock, he recently passed away. He ate only McDonald's food for a month. Actually, and he talked about what had happened to his body.
No, actually, you're right. I'm sorry, Mike. No, that's the guy who did it. Mike Adams is a online health enthusiast that does lots of research into food and what's in food and things. Yeah. No, sorry. I'm confused. Actually, thank you for having me.
So you're talking about the guy Spurlock, I think.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. I forgot it. Mike Adams is a different guy.
It was a movie called Super Size Me.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
and anytime that they asked him to supersize it, he was going to say yes, and then he ate whatever they gave him. So it was.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, no, you're right. It was Spurlock. That was it. Yeah, you ever watch that? It's fascinating.
It was
make it through the whole session. He got so sick. I mean, his organs started shutting down.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next one.
I see a hot dog there, and I recently read an article where they said that no amount of hot dogs is good for you, like not even one.
Oh wow, yeah.
So,
yeah, we'll talk about that. I'm gonna turn my volume up. All right, let's go to the next one there.
All
right. So, undoubtedly, I'm assuming most people heard of the vegan diet, which is the most strict vegetarian diet. I've heard many people come in here and be like, the Bible tells us that we need to be vegans. That's what Adam and Eve were. That's what Daniel. You talk about the Daniel diet. And I have some scriptures here. You can go ahead and do the next scripture. I have them written out there. So the question is, should we only eat vegetables? And I get asked this a lot. Some people say, "Oh no, Christians should only be eating vegetables. It's wrong to eat meat." God's the God of love. We shouldn't be killing animals. I'm kind of having some fun here, and forgive me. I'm going to push some of those people out there that really have these perceptions. And I'm going to challenge you on this because this is very big. You look at the Seventh-day Adventists. They are very big about eating vegetarian and actually vegan diets. And here's the scriptures they use. Genesis 1, talking about how God made every herb that bears seed and every fruit that bears seed. Later in Genesis 3, you shall eat the herb of the field. And then even Daniel, all the way in Daniel, when he's living in the king's quarters, he challenges him and says, "Hey, I don't want to eat this king's food." Now we can, go into what that is. But the point is, he only ate, it says here, vegetables and water. And so people say, well, we're designed to be plant eaters.
I mean, there might be something to say that you could probably go for 10 days eating vegetables and water, and that might be like a cleanse or something for you, possibly.
Well, he did, 10 days, and then they got it. Well, they're just saying they got everybody on that, so it was longer than 10 days. But all right, let's go to the next one.
So, Lady Tex is mentioning that she went on a vegan for a while, and she had a B12 deficiency. Does that make sense to you, Jason?
Yes. Oh, great questions. I didn't know if I'd have a lot of time to go real deep, but no, thank you for the question. So, this is the reason why I'll give you a little view of the where we're going to get to. I believe that we need to be eating all foods, that are clean, but we need to be eating all foods because God allows it. That's what God made for us. And when we'll get to the next one, we're going to talk about carnivore diet too. But yeah, one of the biggest issues with a whole plant-based diet, in other words, you're only eating plants, especially vegan, is you start to have deficiencies. You don't get enough B vitamins. B12 is once. I had so many people coming in, and they'd be like, "Oh, I got on the vegan diet. I'm so tired. I feel horrible."
Right.
They felt great at first, but then as the months kind of go in or go on, they don't have enough vitamin K. They don't have enough vitamin A, and they might get low in iron. They might start becoming anemic, even where they have a long duration. I had a elderly man come in, he's Seventh-day Adventist, and he was a vegan for a long time, and he was so anemic that he would have to go get blood transfusions to boost his red blood cell production.
Wow.
And, he'd come in, he'd get iron supplements, and it would help him a little bit. And finally, after about a year of working with him, about maybe 6 months, I found out he was a vegan. I had no idea. And I was like, oh wow. Thinking, okay. But I didn't want to, tell him what to do. But finally, after about a year, he's not getting better. Now he's having another bad time. He's about to get a transfusion. I was like, look, James, I know you don't eat meat, but I would really encourage you go get some grass-fed red meat and start eating that. And took him a little while, and maybe a couple months later, he's fine. He came in, he said, "Oh, I ate some." And I was like, "Well, how do you feel?" It didn't bother me. And I said, "Yeah, you feel all right." And then, a few months later, all of a sudden now, 2 years or more in, he is the best he's ever been. He doesn't eat red meat a lot, but he does eat at least once a week, maybe twice a week. He'll have a grass-fed red meat steak. So, I'll get.
How old was this guy?
He's 85.
Okay.
He's 85.
Does age have something to do with this also, as far as what's your body, how it metabolizes nutrients and things like that?
Well, yeah. As you get older, your metabolism slows down. You don't need as much nourishment. But as far as diet and lifestyle and things, no, I don't think you're ever too old to turn things around and make things better. No. Any age, you're 85 years old. I just told you about an 85-year-old man who started eating grass-fed red meat, and you know what? He hasn't had a blood transfusion in over a year. And his red blood cells have been the highest they've ever been.
Sounds like that may have worked there.
Yeah.
Yes. He's doing iron supplements too. Don't get me wrong. He's doing supplementation. The big player is the red meat. So.
Well, I've seen some people, though, they've been like not true vegans. They've been like vegetarians, but they also eat fish.
Yeah.
And for the most part, they seem pretty healthy to me.
Yeah. So, right here, I wrote science, research, and even anecdotal, where, you look at the person based on the evidence, shows that a plant-based diet reduces all types of diseases.
And when you say plant-based, what do you mean? Like, that's the main part of the diet, or what does plant-based diet mean?
Yeah, so plant-based diet means that you eat mostly, if not all, plants.
Okay.
Fruits, vegetables, grains, legumes, anything that is a plant type. There's different variations on this. You talked about what's called a pescatarian, which is a vegetarian with fish that eats seafood. But no, eating a plant-based diet, like when I had cancer years ago, I ate for 3 weeks. I ate a very, very strict plant-based diet. You can even classify it as a vegan diet. I ate nothing but broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, nuts, and seeds. And that's it for 3 weeks. And I was able to see my cancer tumor markers come down. I was able to see my hormones correct themselves. My weight, I toned up. I was trim. So no, going on a plant-based diet, as I'll talk about, is really good for you. It's just, I don't think it's sustainable for long term. You are going to need certain things that you don't get from plants very easily. And you'll see examples out there. They're athletes and things, but many of those have dietitians or coaches that, prep their food and cook all their food and, make sure that they're getting a certain amount of calories and vitamins and nutrients in their food, or they'll give them supplements. So yeah, you can do it. It's just not easy.
Right.
And I don't recommend it long term. So yeah, here's the push. But let's go to carnivore now.
All right, next slide.
All right, so you're going to be hearing a lot about carnivore diet. It is becoming very, very popular, more than the vegan diet.
Yeah, I think Jordan Peterson
Yeah.
was on a carnivore diet, and he looks very thin.
Yeah, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast talking about carnivore diet. And many people are on the carnivore diet, and they're seeing amazing results. Now, there's not really any scripture to back the carnivore diet up, in my opinion. You can go to the next slide and look at Genesis chapter 9. So Genesis chapter 9, every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. So this is right after they got off well, not right off, but shortly after they got off Noah and got off the ark. And God says, look, the animals are going to have the fear of man, and now they're your food. But it's funny, right after that, it says, I have given you all things, even as the green herbs. So, it's funny how it includes that in my mind. It's like, man, no, eat all of it. Everything is, all the stuff that God's created is good. But it's interesting. There's a study here you'll see that was done by Harvard University, 2021. Can you see? It said 100% of diabetics came off injection medications.
Okay.
Just being strictly on a carnivore diet.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and it might have been, a little bit lenient. I didn't go into all the details of how strict it was, but it was mostly a carnivore. Yeah. The diabetics are, wonderful. 92% of diabetics came off insulin completely. You see the CRP, that's the C-reactive protein. So inflammatory markers in the blood. CRP a lot of times indicates cardiovascular disease. So the CRP decreased. So cardiovascular inflammation decreased. And CRP is also an indicator of possible cancer, infection. So that going down shows that cardiovascular disease improves, cancer risk improves. And then
Can you explain why that would be on that kind of diet? Like, how does that make sense? Like that, if you're eating all this protein, high protein diet, carnivore diet, why would that affect your, blood and sugar in those ways?
So let me pause on that question for just a moment.
Okay.
Great question. I'm going to get into it because that's one of the main things I want people to know today is why does the vegan diet work? Why does the carnivore diet work? Because I believe both of them work. I've had so many people now. This is why I want to talk about it. I had a lot of people come in the store and, they're overweight, obesely overweight. They get on the carnivore diet. And go ahead and go to the next slide, actually, Jeff. There's a whole website if you're interested talking about, carnivore.diet. These people are losing huge amounts of weight on the carnivore diet. Way more than you can lose. Well, not way more, but faster and better, it seems to be so far, than you can on a vegan diet. Now, there's a lot, I will add, there's a lot of false advertising out there. There are a lot of these people who are doing a carnivore diet, and they are also using these new medications called GLP-1 inhibitors, like Ozempic and Wegovy, Mounjaro. These are diabetic injection medications that are causing people to not empty their stomach, and so they're full and they don't eat as much. So
those medicines they produce like a enzyme or something that the body normally makes to prevent hunger.
It inhibits the GLP-1, which then help balance the blood sugar while their diabetes gets better. I'm not promoting these. I'm just telling you,
that's
So you say you're not promoting them. Are there some drawbacks for people? Because everybody's pushing medications out there.
Yeah.
Oh, look what happens. You take this pill. You take. So what are some drawbacks, if you don't mind, if you know of, if you take things like Ozempic to lose weight? What are you missing there, or what could it be doing harmful to you, if anything?
Well, I'm hesitant because it is helping lots of people.
Right.
There's a lot of people who are taking this drug and they are losing lots of weight, which is
good.
Yes, which is sometimes the benefits outweigh the risk in some cases.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I was talking to a doctor about this, and he told me that he believes that what like is it Wegovy or whatever, and Ozempic, that thing that it produces is naturally produced in your body. So he believes it's somewhat kind of natural. Is that it's your body something that your body produces, but then it prevents the it makes people feel full.
No,
something like that.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely true.
But is there any kind of like foods or something that could do the same thing for people rather than
so it's not a huge amount of things out there, but there are natural GLP-1 inhibiting supplements. We sell a few things in here. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but there are some things that you can search out there, GLP-1 or natural GLP-1 inhibitors. But we personally don't like to push a lot of that because we don't know what the long-term side effects of doing that are.
Right.
Yes, it is a natural thing, but this is a new thing that people are doing as far as inhibiting the GLP-1. So
I guess there's no way to know long-term since it is a new thing, right?
No, it's brand new. And of course, using the synthetic options that they have, these are synthetic GLP-1 inhibitors.
Yeah.
But no, when you take these medications, I'll just say one thing: the risk of cancer does increase, and lots of types of cancer, kidney cancer, thyroid cancer. If it were me, I would recommend any of my friends and family to please research that, and make sure that you research it thoroughly. And then
going back to the carnivore diet. Does this mean you only eat meat and meat only? Is that it? Is that how this diet works?
Yeah. So a carnivore diet, true carnivore diet, is where you only eat meat and animal products. So you have carnivores that eat
cheese. Is cheese allowed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Milk or animal products. Yeah. Now you have some very strict, but carnivore diet's almost more strict than a vegan diet, because you just don't have a lot of options.
That sounds like it's also low calorie because isn't meat usually lower in calories?
Yeah. And I'll say one more thing about the GLP. So GLP-1 inhibiting, part of what the drug does is it also slows down the stomach emptying process.
Gotcha.
And so when you slow down, well, the food doesn't move through you like it normally does. And so you feel full longer.
Okay.
Well, there have been instances where people have taken it for extended periods of time, and they actually can develop gastroparesis where they are not able to empty their stomach.
Wow.
And permanent gastroparesis would then mean you'd have to be on a colostomy bag. So, this is not for all. This is not, doesn't happen to all people, but these are really severe cases of what can happen. So I would.
What about this comment from Olivia? Because I've heard this before, that diets can work, but do you want to get off a diet and get back to a baseline again? Like people that say, oh, the carnivore, and they say everybody should be on it all the time. What are your thoughts about diets for periods of time and then trying to get back to some kind of baseline?
I absolutely. Yes. Like I mentioned with the vegan diet, I do not think it's sustainable. The carnivore diet, I do not think it's sustainable. I think you're not going to get enough vitamins and minerals in meat.
Yeah. But for short term, like weight loss, probably
your cholesterol levels are going to be slightly higher. It doesn't mean that you will have, as we saw there with cardiovascular, doesn't mean that you're going to have heart disease. Actually, it's the opposite in a lot of cases, but you will have higher cholesterol. there's some carnivores that track that, and if you go out there and listen to them, they'll talk about their cholesterol is higher than most people. But no, let's go to the next slide, because we're
sorry, man. Yeah,
no worries.
It's interesting stuff. Yeah.
I'm going to answer Olivia. Hold on, Olivia. I'm going to answer here in a minute. But a very strict diet is actually called a fruitarian diet.
Wow, I've never heard of that one.
Sounds like that's a lot of sugar, though, isn't it?
It is. But there's some people out there that think that we should only eat fruit. All right, go to the next slide. Now this is the most strict diet. It's called a breatharian. Having a little fun.
I've heard of those people, and I also heard that they sneak food when people aren't looking.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Hey, that's a new one so I guess you can pull in yeast from the air, right?
Yeah, you can get nutrition. Yep. No, this is very niche, but no, there are people out there that claim to be breatharians. All right, I had to have a little fun. Sorry. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, let me just read through a couple of these, and I'll answer these questions. So here's a slide kind of showing you what I hear. Like here's these carnivorous plants here. Dear vegans, even plants think you're wrong. In other words, like, plants are carnivores, so we shouldn't be eating plants. This guy up on the top, Dr. Gundry, oh my goodness, this guy is very big promoter about carnivore diet. Well, I shouldn't say carnivore diet, but about the dangers of eating plants. If you read that quote there, it's a little small for me. Quite simply, plants don't want to be eaten. And who can blame them? Like any living thing, their instinct is to propagate the next generation of the species, which is crazy because, wait, we shouldn't eat plants because they are living. Well, aren't animals living? It's just like you listen to these people. The craziest video I ever saw about him was he was teaching people about not eating beans because they have lectins. And when I got to the final end, I watched the whole thing. I was like, what in the world is this guy saying? Does this make sense? He said, well, we can eat beans. We just got to make sure we cook them. And I'm like, well, of course, no one eats raw beans. But let's go to the next slide.
All right.
You got any thoughts before I go on?
I've just seen that guy a lot on the internet. It seems like wherever you click, that guy's popping up.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of him in ads or something. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's all over the internet now.
Yeah.
And he's very much, for more of a meat eating diet. People have told me, milk is pus. We shouldn't drink milk. It's, we're not a cow calf. So why are we drinking milk? Here down here at the bottom is Dr. Greger. Nothing against them. I mean, he has a lot of good information, but he is a very strict plant-based eater.
Hey, any quick thoughts? Because I've heard this in the church a little bit. There's some niches in the church on different ideas with food, and I ran into some people on the raw milk idea, but I definitely know there's some dangers to that. What are your thoughts on raw milk?
So I think raw milk. Well, the reason why we got to pasteurization is because people didn't clean their equipment. So I think if you buy from a goods resource, someone who actually is, has sanitary procedures in their milk producing, like my sister, she has a small dairy farm. And in North Carolina, we have to sell it as raw, unpasteurized pet milk because we cannot sell raw milk for human consumption in North Carolina.
Okay.
So it's I'm selling raw milk. You go home, it's for pets. You do what you want to do. You want to drink, well, drink at your own risk. But, she doesn't want animals sick, so she's going to do sanitary. She's going to wash her equipment after she does it every time. She's going to wash the udders before she milks the cow because they've been out in the field.
Right.
Stepping in cow poo, So that's where we run into problems. And then, you get into, as the years progress, we develop germ theory, which is the idea that we have these bacteria and viruses. But when you look at raw milk has special properties in there to help fight the bacteria, and specifically the ones that we might be exposed to in the milk. Much like honey. Honey's a similar. Now, honey's even a better case in my opinion, where you buy raw honey, A lot of times you have good antibacterial properties in there that might be the problem when you buy honey if pasteurized.
Right.
And so I think when you look at the research and you go, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later too, when you go into clean raw milk, it's a superfood.
Okay.
You know, and we'll talk about what did the Israelites eat? They had sheep and goats. You know, what did they drink milk?
Yeah,
You
a
know,
land flowing with milk and honey, I guess.
I used that the other day. First customer didn't really like that. I was like, well, yeah, and, you know, what is milk and what's honey and stuff like that. But no, I mean, it's, if you just take it as literal sense, yeah, what's milk? You know, well, it's you know, food for the baby animal of that animal, and it's good for us. We've been eating, you know, ever since we've been humans, we've been creation, we've been eating milk. And I'll talk about specifically also A2 milk too. So there's different types of milk too. But let's go to the next slide. All right. Another one. Eggs cause heart disease. Bread's horrible for you. We shouldn't be eating gluten. It's so bad for you. You know, beets and strawberries and spinach cause kidney stones. I mean, it's on and on and on. And this is another reason why I want to talk about this, because there's so much misinformation out there. I hear all
Does some of this have to do with the fact, Jason, that everybody's a little bit different? So some people may be impacted by something that others are not impacted. I mean, what do you think? Because there is so much diverse information on food. This is good. No, this is bad. This is good. You know, the same foods. This guy says it's bad. This guy says it's good.
Well, the problem is, and we're going to talk about it. The problem is more and more we are getting away from real food.
Okay.
Our food is so processed. Our food is so adulterated. And I'm going to go into that. And it's going to be a little scary. But no, that's the problem. No, I think most everybody, you know, there are exceptions. There are things that happen. You know, there are digestive issues where we do have a problem digesting gluten, let's say. But when you get to the best sources of these foods, such as eggs and bread and meat and milk, they are superfoods. They're good foods.
It makes sense if God created it.
Well, you know, we're getting away from it. The bread that we eat, you know, it's well, let's say one thing. You know, most of the wheat in this country are sprayed with Roundup to dry the wheat faster.
Still,
yeah.
Is that
yes?
Okay.
I mean, if you buy organic wheat, it's likely not. But you know, how often are you buying organic bread? And even then, the bread that we eat is made with synthetic yeast, which allows there to be more gluten in the bread. You know, which is, you know, you can see this. You go to Europe, they don't have these. They have laws against stuff like this, and you can eat the bread over there, and you don't have digestive issues.
Is this being discussed at all by the new administration? I know they're making some changes with color food dyes and things like that. Are they talking at all about the wheat?
So I haven't heard yet. I mean, there are definitely people out there that are connected to this administration that know about this, and I'm sure I have said stuff, but I have not seen any changes yet. And this is another reason why I like to talk about this, because I'm like, look, you know, we are all citizens in this country. You know, we should have a say, and we should start speaking up about what they're putting in our food. And hopefully today you're going to have a little bit more encouragement, hopefully, to do that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if they can do it in Europe or these other countries, why can't they do it here? Why,
Is it a money?
Because
is it a money
it's
thing?
money, probably it's cheaper to do that.
Well, it is. You spray Roundup on your wheat, it dries faster, so you get your product to market faster and more money.
Okay.
And well, some of this I think is also, you know, a spiritual battle too. I mean, I think as like I mentioned before, you know, we are a temple for the Holy Spirit. So I think also there's lots of spiritual warfare going out there too, that they're trying to, you know, hurt our bodies, unfortunately. So yeah, but let's go on. I'm going to answer your question now, Mike. So why do these diets work? All right. two main reasons why all of these, vegan diet. We'll go to the next slide, Jeff. I guess
All right.
the next one. Sorry. Actually, before we get there, let me just talk real quickly because I wanted to talk about what does the Bible say. So a good example is the Israelites in the wilderness. You see a lot of information about the Israelites in the wilderness and what they're eating. First off, God gave them quail. Seems like God's okay with them eating animals.
Mm-hmm.
God gave them manna, which is bread.
Good point.
What's that?
Good point.
Yeah. God gave them honey from a rock. God gave them animals, such as sheep and cows. They took those with them when they left Egypt. So they were possibly eating sheep. They were sacrificing lambs and goats.
Mm-hmm.
They were eating those. Passover. What are you eating at Passover? You're eating a lamb.
Mm-hmm.
So they had these animals. They were. I don't see why it doesn't specifically say they're drinking milk, but God does promise, like you said, going to the land flowing with milk and honey. Why do they need milk and honey if they're not going to eat it?
Mm-hmm.
But yes, you see this example. You go to the next slide. If anybody wants to research this, there are lots of information out there about Bible diet. What's the Bible talk about? Some of them are going to be pushing more of a plant-based. But like this lady over here, her whole platform is called the Biblical Nutritionist. She's all about looking at good foods and eating good foods. Much what I'll talk about today. And over on the right, I have a Passover meal. I don't see why that's not a good example of what we should be eating. Bitter herbs, of course, lamb. I can't think of the word of it right now, but like kind of apple and nut mixture. Unleavened bread. And of course, they ate bread throughout the Bible. Oh my goodness, it was Melchizedek and Abraham coming together. Having bread and wine. They drink wine.
Jesus tells us to ask the Father, give us this day our daily bread, right?
Yeah.
The bread, you should eat bread daily, I guess.
You can't get away from that. Yeah.
Nope, you can't. That's going to answer your question. All right, let's go. Now let's go into why. So I think we should be eating all foods, other than I don't eat unclean foods. Because I think there are and science shows this too. Like pork's a great example, but I think we should be eating meat and plants as a sustainable diet. If you want a diet type, a Mediterranean diet is kind of like that. And that's a pretty good diet to go by. Not everybody can eat Mediterranean because we don't live in the Mediterranean, but it's just, we need to be eating real food. We need to be getting away from processed food. All right. So let's see the next slide. So the number one thing of why all these diets work, specifically vegan and carnivore, is because people are not eating sugar. Number one reason. No, I'm not telling you to start eating artificial sweeteners. Definitely do not encourage you eating artificial sweeteners. Many of them are actually worse than sugar. But now you can eat natural sweeteners like honey and maple syrup. But I would instead.
Well, is sugar natural?
Is yogurt? Yeah, yogurt.
Sugar cane, right?
Is natural. Now there are different variations. There's going to be like a plain Greek yogurt or a plain yogurt is what I'm going to recommend, not Yoplait or these highly processed sugar added yogurts.
Right.
No, buy plain yogurt. Go home and add some honey to it. If you want.
Yeah. Well, I think we have like corn syrup is like the number one sugar people get.
Yep.
In this country, and I just saw that Trump asked Coca-Cola to use regular sugar in Coke.
Yeah, which is it's a little step up, but it's still sugar.
Still sugar.
So
okay.
When I talk about sugar, I'm talking about specifically commercial sugar, whether it's from beets or any other source, or sugar cane, even cane sugar. Yes, it's better than high fructose corn syrup, but when I talk about no sugar, I'm talking about sugar, cane sugar, high fructose corn syrup, fructose, which is fruit sugar. These mainstream sugars. And you know when you go and look at the ingredient facts and it says sugars in there, added sugars. If there's an added sugar in there, those are one of the main reasons why we're having these diseases we have today. And so why do people?
So let me ask you: is it the sugar? Is it the sugar additives? The amount of sugar? What do you think is causing the disease? We're eating too much of it, or is it just like, can you treat yourself once in a while? Like, can you have an ice cream cone like once a month? You get what I'm saying here? Help people understand that. Like, if you do need some sugar, does it matter how much you're expending energy every day versus not expending energy? Can you get into some of that?
Yeah, so I think sugar is okay in moderation. Okay. But if you want to see results, if you want to see that diabetes get better, if you want to see that cancer get better, you need to cut out sugar.
Okay.
Doesn't cancer feed on sugar, right?
Yes, it does. And then that's what they do when they're trying to do a scan. They put sugar water in you to light up the cancer so they can find out where the cancer is.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
No, sugar feeds cancer. It's a fact. I mean, are there other things? Of course. But instead of focusing all the other things, no, sugar is the number one thing. It's the main thing in the food. And so why does the carnivore diet work or the vegan? Because people are not eating sugar. Why does the keto diet work? People are not eating suger.
And what is keto again?
Keto is kind of a variation of a carnivore diet. It's more meat and fats. So you can eat some plants in there, but not a lot. It's really keto is really just getting away from processed food and sugar.
And what is sugar doing to our body that is negative? Like, do you got any specific?
Yes.
Okay.
Wish I knew I could explain it best I can, because I mean, this is
a
lot of ways you can take it. But so sugar in the body is stored as glycogen, and once it gets stored up, then now you have excess sugar that the body can't burn. Well, then it's
the body can't what?
Can't burn.
Burn. I'm sorry. Okay.
Right.
So if you have a high metabolism, or if you're an athlete or you're young, I mean, you're going to burn through the sugar pretty fast.
Right.
But as you get older and more sedentary and things like that, you're going to have all this excess sugar. Well, the body's going to have to store it somewhere. So then it's going to store it in your fats. And so then you call it more fat. Well, when you do that,
the A1C that they test for with the blood test that tells you how much sugar.
Go ahead.
The A1C tells you how much sugar you have in your blood.
So the A1C test, which is more of a diabetic test, that tests how your blood sugar has been balanced over the last 3 months.
Yeah.
So has it gone really high? Is it going really low? If it's going back and forth, well, the farther back and forth, high and low it's going to go, the higher your A1C is going to be. The more balanced, you can keep your blood sugar throughout the day and the months, the better your A1C is going to be. And so if you cut out sugar, and I'm not saying carbs, I'm saying processed commercial sugar that we sweeten things with. When you cut that out, I've seen so many people go from being type 2 diabetics, and they're no longer diabetics. I mean, they might be taking herbs and medicine to keep it balanced, but their A1C is down to below 6. And
so below 6 is good, right? Is that correct?
You got a pre-diabetic, and then if you got a pre-diabetic, I mean, as long as you're able to maintain it, then you're no longer diabetic. So let's go to the next one. I'm gonna try to get through this today. The number 2 point. We can go ahead and skip that. There's some dangerous side effects. And if anybody wants this slide, I can email it to them too. But the second point, why vegan and carnivore diets work, is because they cut out processed food. When you're on a carnivore diet and you're on a strict one, I mean, of course, you can eat hamburgers on a carnivore diet. That's not going to be a good carnivore diet. But and like on vegan diet, you can eat French fries and be a vegan. But when you go to these strict diets and you see people see results, it's because they're cutting out processed food. All right. And let's just go a little bit. Let's go to the next slide. And when you start cutting these things out, you start to realize bread is good. When we get away from sugar and processed food, which most of your bread has sugar in it, most of your bread has processed wheat in there. And when you get to like a natural sourdough type of bread, it doesn't give you problems. You can eat bread. That's why you can go to Europe, France, and Italy and eat the bread, and you're like, oh, I don't get a bloated belly, because they're not putting sugar and processed food in there. Milk, when we go to healthier cows, like A2 type cows, you can drink the milk, and not only that, but you can digest it, because A2 type milk has enzymes in there to help you digest the lactose. I've seen young kids that have eczema. They switch over to A2 brand milk, which is a pasteurized milk. Their eczema gets better.
A2, that's not acidophilus, is it?
A2 is referring to the genetic type of cow.
Okay.
So most of the
how do you get that?
All grocery stores sell A2 brand milk.
They do sell that. So how do you know? Is it labeled that or something? I
Does
just go
it say A2 on it?
Yeah, the brand is A2.
It's called A2.
Yeah. And just so I'm not getting any payback. I'm just telling you about it. But no, it's called A2 brand milk.
Okay.
So like my sister, she sells raw milk to customers, but her milk is A2. So both the mom and dad cow of the cow she's milking are both A2. So commercial dairy farmers went to A1 years ago because A1 produces more milk, which means more money. But A1 type cows have less nutrients in there, less enzymes to help you digest the lactose. It's a lower quality milk.
Gotcha.
And you can even research this. There's even books out there. They call it the devil in the milk. It's a serious issue. But eggs are good. You go to farm raised healthy chicken eggs. Like I have chickens in my backyard because eggs are superfoods. You can eat eggs and they don't raise your cholesterol. It's just we're getting eggs from sick chickens, and the eggs make us sick because the chickens are sick. Meat is good. If we get away from the commercial processed meat, you can eat meat and it's good for you. Just like I told you with the carnivore diet, people are losing weight eating meat. Plants are good. God gave us, I showed you some examples. God wants us to eat plants. But not strictly plants. And butter is good. When you get to this A2 type and you go to cows that have been outside eating grass and getting sunlight, and the cows are healthy, the milk is healthy and the cheese is healthy. The butter is healthy. So start looking for grass-fed butter, grass-fed meat, grass-fed milk. So my family and I went together and bought local grass-fed, grass-finished beef. I got a quarter cow. So we have good quality meat to eat. And then, so let's go to the next one. Sorry, I know probably got a lot of questions. But you got any questions? That answer your question, Jeff, earlier about why those diets work?
Yeah, definitely. I guess the sugar is the common factor.
Yeah. What about you, Mike?
And so, you got me. Keep going. All
right. Yeah. So why do I encourage this? Well, I think as Christians, just as much as we want to avoid unclean meats, I think we need to get away from processed meat and processed food. So let's just go to a couple examples. Go to the next slide. You see it. Processed food is loaded with chemicals. That one of the main reasons why we want to get away from processed food is the chemicals in there. Start finding natural ways. We talked about yogurt. Go to a plain yogurt. That's it. That's all it is. It's not got preservatives and artificial flavors, artificial sweeteners, artificial colors. These are chemicals that make us sick. And I think in the next slide, I got some other examples. Right here. These are not real foods. The 7 worst ingredients. You see, they're artificial sweeteners. MSG. MSG is an excitotoxin. It's designed to excite your taste buds and make you crave that food. That's the reason why you pick up a bag of commercial chips, which I'm not going to give you brands right now. You pick chips up, you can't stop eating them.
Right.
You go to a Chinese food restaurant. It's loaded with MSG.
Yeah, because it makes food taste better somehow.
Yeah, that's for sure. It does. Yeah,
Yeah, and there's a whole class of MSG
Mm-hmm.
is just one,
Mm-hmm.
and MSG can fall under natural flavors, so they might not even label it on there, and you have no idea.
What do you think? Are you seeing a lot more? Like I'm noticing many products at the store that I'm in are mentioning no high fructose corn syrup in this product or no sugar. Are you seeing more of that, you guys?
I am, but the problem is I think many of these companies are starting to get wise to that, and so they're changing it, but it still doesn't make it much better.
Okay.
I mean, yes, I would say avoid high fructose corn syrup, absolutely, and go to the options that have alternatives, but still look at how much sugar is in there. Just because they're switching it to sugar or cane sugar, still is a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
You'll see your artificial colors. They're talking a lot about that with administration. RFK has talked about yellow 5. Causes depression, causes ADHD symptoms, toxifies the liver. Artificial colors are horrible. Yeah, and we can like you can't pick up a jar of pickles without yellow 5 in there. All the kids' foods, macaroni and cheese, Cheetos, Doritos, all these things have artificial colors in there. And all the kids are our kids. I have to be careful where my kids go because they're going to be exposed to this stuff. We're about to do.
What's interesting is when you look at depression and anxiety in children over the last 50 years, there's other reasons, I'm sure, but it's gone up dramatically.
Yeah. And I had a question there. What do they genetically modify soy and corn with? If you don't get organic soy and corn, you know what they modify it with? Roundup. You have genetically modified Roundup ready corn.
Oh my goodness, that's scary.
Yeah. And so, that's part of the problem why high fructose corn syrup, in addition to being sugar, is bad for you. And so if you get buy a product that doesn't have non-GMO on there and it has corn and soy ingredients in there, it's likely been genetically modified. You can't always prove it. You have to call the company. But so for me, if I buy something that has corn and soy in it, I make sure that it says non-GMO. Because I don't want Roundup genetically modified corn or soy.
Right.
You can look up that up, and corn and soy are some of the highest causes for colon cancer. Because
I've read recently that there's been an uptick in younger people getting colon cancer, and they're trying to figure out why. You got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I got a lot. The biggest one, I come down to the food. It's our kids more than anything are getting bombarded because they look and they go by what they see. They go by the brand recognition of what their kids are eating, and so they're hit so much harder. We as parents, we have to. It's hard because it's really good luck trying to make your kid eat something they don't want to eat. It's not easy.
Well, I think fast food is for young people because when older people eat fast food, you see the results, right? When young people eat fast food, they don't see the results of it.
Yeah,
they can just eat all this crap and all this junk, and they just stay thin for a while.
I'd like to think the food is getting better, and in some ways it is, but it's not enough. And so more and more kids are eating these types of foods, this processed food primarily and high sugar, and they're not getting as much exercise as well. Kids are on more screens, and so then they're not able to burn that excess sugar, and they're more likely to be more overweight. And so it's why we're seeing it. And so we're going to have these diseases. And plus, let's go back to the slide because I want to get through a couple more because it doesn't get much better. So, but you see, there's the 7 worst ingredients. Let's go to the next slide. More and more, they're genetically modifying foods. They're talking about now how they want to put vaccines in plants. So
vaccines in plants?
Yes. Vaccines into the plants that we eat, just like they want to genetically modify corn and soy with Roundup.
Yeah.
They want to put these mRNA vaccines. Now it hasn't been done and there's lots of pushback, but like I said, in some ways the food's getting better, but in some ways it's like, what are we doing? We're totally going away from what God created. And why, why I told you, like, hey, I think just as much as we don't eat pork, we should be not eating processed food. So let's go to the next slide. They're putting nanotechnology in to enhance the food in there. Silicon dioxide is a nanotechnology additive. It makes the food crispier, whiter, fresher tasting. These are minimal things in here, and you can argue, oh, it's just a little bit here and there, but these things add up. Let's go to the next one. Well, we can go back and talk a little bit, but yeah, here's some solutions of what I recommend. Because it's hard. You might say, well, I mean, it's hard to find this food. What do I do? What do I do? Well, start buying local. Start finding local farmers markets. Going together with families, or start growing your own food. Hey, we can do it. Maybe it's also you feel led to speak up, call your representatives, and get a hold of them and say, hey, look, I don't want genetically modified food, especially plants. So, in the next slide, let's go. I'll go ahead and finish it real quick. Grow your own food. If you buy seeds, try to get heirloom seeds. Those are your best type of seeds for growing plants. They're going to grow your best, healthiest plants. You can go to the next slide. And then people say, what do I do? Well, I mean, you can pray over your food. And we should. So if you're worried about it, pray about it, seek God and let him lead you. I didn't get where I am overnight. I'm not perfect. There's things I struggle with, just like I struggle with sin, but every day I wake up and I try harder. And I draw close to God and allow me to help him. And then he's given me this information. So now I'm sharing it with you, so that we can, start making some changes. But yeah, very, very informative. One question. You got any more slides? First of all, we got one last scripture I had. Oh, yeah, it's superfoods, but we can. Yeah. Before I quickly go over there. I mean, I know we're getting to like an hour, but what do you got? Any questions still now? Somebody asked about tofu, and I know that that's used sometimes for protein, but is it plant-based or what is tofu exactly? Yeah. So tofu is made from soy. Okay. Processed soy, with soybean, and they process it. I can't remember if they add it. I can't remember how they process it exactly. And they make a plant-based protein, soy protein. So I'm okay with tofu in moderation. I told you earlier, I'm not a fan of a strictly vegan diet. I think we should be eating all foods, meat and plants. I should say all food groups. How about that? So people don't misunderstand me. But if you do eat tofu, I would really strongly recommend you eat genetically non-GMO organic soy. Like I mentioned, soy is genetically modified with Roundup. Right. I know there's also these plant-based meats they have, these Impossible stuff. To me, those are like abominations in my mind. But those are abominations. You talk about processed food; those are the worst types. That's in my opinion, those are the top. I'm sorry, Impossible Burger. They're putting synthetic enhancement ingredients in there to make it look like it has blood. Okay. And that taste that some I've tasted some in the past where it did taste a little like some were better than others. Yeah. I don't eat them now, but like I remember one of the chicken ones that I really didn't feel like it was like. Then they had another one that tasted like chicken. How do they get it to taste like chicken? That's a mystery. Okay. Well, I would tell you not to eat that meat. I haven't. Part of the reason was years ago, I can remember them promoting the idea, don't eat the meats, don't eat the fats. And I think that came from certain studies that were promoted that they weren't looking at all the information. What are your what happened 20, 50 years ago when they were pushing
margarines and things like that, where now they're saying, no, butter's better than margarine. What was all that about?
It's I would say it's about money. A lot of that was about money. They wanted to switch the money, and just much like I'll do a non-example without hurting people's feelings. Like hemp and paper. The paper industry pushed out the hemp to make, because they wanted the money, and so they pushed legislation to ban the use of hemp, and hemp became illegal. So much like that, we see a lot of these health trends. They're funded by money. Unfortunately, money rules in this world. So that's why I encourage you. Okay, listen to specialists, but also go back to the Bible. The Bible has a lot to say about the foods that humans eat. It doesn't give you a specific strict diet. It doesn't promote veganism.
Yeah.
Maybe you could say Adam and Eve were vegans. Okay, I could believe that, but things changed. And the Israelites were eating all types of food groups. So it's and the Israelites were eating strict diets that God recommended. So and that's the problem, is the food nowadays is getting away from that. But I don't buy the whole no fat. That was silly. That was when I was younger. Fat doesn't mean cholesterol. Your brain is mostly fat. So you need fats.
Yeah.
That's why.
Here's a comment from church elder on medication in general. Again, I'm not on any meds, and that's good. But I know some people have to take meds for certain things, so I get that. Yeah. But your suggestion, Jason, is, hey, anything that's not natural, we don't want to put it in our body for the most. Listen, I love a good dessert every once in a while, but it's every once in a while. You right? That's kind of wise.
Well, I was talking with a customer who loved Little Debbie's. It was like, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not saying you can't have sweet things, but get away from Little Debbie's. Start finding some, or either make your own. So he's like those raisin cookie ones. I'm like, you can make oatmeal raisin cookies that are good for you. You can sweeten it with honey, sweeten it with maple syrup, and you make it even better. So no, I'm not saying don't eat sweet things, don't live a good life, enjoy life. No, it's just find better variations, educate yourself, learn how to read labels, learn how to avoid, look at what are the ingredients I want to avoid, find out good, there's lots of good resources out there. You just have to take a moment to look and find them.
Let me ask you another question on that. So getting a physical once a year and getting blood work, you suggest doing that because by knowing your blood numbers, that's going to at least clue you in if there's some kind of a problem, right?
Yeah, just as much as I tell you eat good food, also be mindful of what's going on in your body. And medications save people, but medications don't heal you. And so if you have high blood pressure and you're about to have a heart attack, okay, you need to get on some blood pressure medication, because very, very unlikely you're going to drastically change your diet enough and fast enough to possibly lower that blood pressure if you're at risk. Yeah, so the blood pressure medication, use it. Rely on your doctor, but the doctor should not be the person who is controlling your health.
Yeah,
he doesn't own your body. He might not be as concerned as he should be, maybe in some areas. Some doctors don't even want to take certain blood tests. They'll be like, I don't want to do that. Why do you want that blood test? Well, I want to know what's going on in my body. No, I'm only going to do this. No, it's like sometimes you have to go beyond your doctor and maybe go to second opinions, go to other people. But no, I'm not saying don't use medications. It's just, I'm saying if we start to implement some of these things, we reduce sugar, we reduce processed foods, you don't need medication.
Yeah, it's facts. It's that if you eat healthy, you'll use less medications. That's just a fact. Yeah.
Vegan. I've seen so many vegans, vegetarians. When they actually do it right and get off sugar and get off processed food, they lose weight. They look better. Their skin looks better. They're off. They start getting off medications. Same thing with carnivore diet. It's just when you go back to the no sugar, no processed food, your life changes. And I want that. I want people to not have the risk of cancer and not the risk of diabetes and blood pressure. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm here to help.
So some people mentioned they wanted to get these slides, Jason.
Okay.
Can you put your email?
I know what we can do. I know what we can do. If you send me the slides, Jason, I'll attach them to this program. So if they go inside the app or go to our website and look at the program, this slides will be there. Can you send me those slides?
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
That PDF, and I'll add that PDF to the program, so it'll be right there on the program. They can find it right there.
No,
great. Any final words, Jason? Comments on today's program?
Well, I would say in this topic, give people grace. As you go around and share this information, I'll try to be a little pushy, because I want people to be healthy. But look, the Bible also tells us not to judge one another on what we eat and drink and how we do things. And so, in your pursuit, just like we would try to be good examples to the people around us and live by example, just because you succeeded and you see results, like I have, be gracious with people, because this is a tough subject. You're changing, lifestyle, you're changing heritage, and you're pushing on things. And people can really get set depending on who they listen to. Some people are very strict on vegans and they think the Bible says it. So love on one another, because I want everybody to know and understand. But there's lots of criticisms out there, and where we criticize people and call people names for being this and that, and it's like, no, hey, if they're doing good and they're living the diet and it's working for them, I mean, give them credit. But hey, maybe if they're on a vegan diet, hey, you ever heard about taking B12? If they're on a carnivore diet, hey, you ever heard about taking a multivitamin? To help them out. So that's what I say, because I have to do that a lot, because I have a lot of people that come in and they're almost ready for a fight. And I'm like, or I'm not trying to fight you, but I'm going to try to give you what research and anecdotal evidence actually shows. But yeah, that's my final thing. And there's many things out there. That slideshow about superfoods, Moringa. Please research, everybody, Moringa.
What is that? I've never heard of that.
It's a leaf of a tree. It's very nutritious. It's just a super green. So loaded
where can you buy that at? I'm looking for it.
Any health food store.
Okay.
Can they get it at your store?
Yeah, they can get it at my store. I sell Moringa powder.
Do we have his email, Jeff? Can you put up Jason's email address?
What is your email address again, Jason, so I can find it here?
Oh, it's info at localhouseofhealth.com.
Okay, I have your website, localhouseofhealth.com.
Yeah, but any health food store, Trader Joe's and Whole Foods and.
Hey, let me tell you this, Jason.
Yeah,
we've had over 100 chat messages today. That's as high as it's ever gotten for a topic.
Yeah. Hopefully good ones, not too challenging ones, but yeah, Moringa is great for blood pressure, great for diabetes. It's a good, healthy thing. And there's very little toxicity issues with Moringa. There's black cumin seed oil, a very good, healthy fat. It comes from the black cumin, like the cumin spice, but this is a different type of cumin. Very good, healthy fat.
I got a question for you. Just because you mentioned seeds. Some people are like trying to get away from things that are cooked in seed oils.
Oh yeah.
Is that recommended to avoid seed oils?
Yes. Yeah, okay. I would recommend that.
And what's the problem? Is it because of how they're processed, or when they're cooked, when they're high heat? Does that do something to the oil? What's the problem between the seed oils and, say, olive oil?
So it's a lot into the processing, so you got high heat and things like that. But you get into this canola, safflower, sunflower, corn oil. Not to mention corn oil is going to be somewhat genetically modified, because it's coming from GMO corn. But they are highly processed. Whereas you go into olive oil and coconut oil and avocado oil, they're not as processed. Usually they're a cold press or they're virgin, which means they're very lightly refined.
What's extra virgin mean?
It's
Even
just
less refined?
even less refined. Yeah, just a higher quality. I mean, that one's a good one, but now you're splitting hairs, in my opinion. As long as you're getting to a better fat. But the problem is when you go to these processed fats, they're not nourishing, no nourishment at all, really. But the other thing is these are like bad gas for your car. So our body runs on fats. That's part of what fuels our cells for energy. And so if you're putting these bad fats in, they clog up the cells and they can't burn them efficiently.
Okay.
So that's why nuts and seeds and things like avocados are a really good source of a fat. You hear a lot about avocados being healthy because they have good fats. And so just like I would say, get away from processed sugar and go to more the natural sweeteners. I would say get away from processed fats and go to the more healthier fats. So like butter, get grass-fed butter, not the junky butter that's from sick cows.
Okay.
You want cows that have been outside and eating plants. And be careful. There's words out there. So like grass-fed doesn't mean it was always grass-fed. You can have grass-fed corn finished beef. Yeah. Which means that the last so many months of their life, they pumped them up with a bunch of corn and grain to make them grow faster.
Gotcha. I guess the heavier they are, the more money they make, I guess.
Yeah, it's so tricky. It's hard. I mean, even when you get healthy, it's like people scare you. They say be healthy, and then they scare you about being healthy. And it's like, this is ridiculous. No.
There's a lot to wade through.
And that's why I tried to simplify it. It's like, look, eat all food groups, but just get real food. Go back to
that's a good basic advice is don't eat processed, eat as natural as you can, little bit of sugar. Yeah.
All right. Hey, well, thank you, Jason, for joining us. We're into double overtime. So we're going to have to go ahead and end this program right now. But hey, I thank you for joining us. A lot of good information you presented today, and I'm sure everyone out there will be able to take this and use this as well. And we will provide this in the recording, your PDF of this slideshow as well. So again, goodbye to everyone, and we'll see everybody next week.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Goodbye.